So anyway, as I was saying before my memory card ran out of space, I was going to check it. I knew it was going to do that right there. The mushrooms are our elders. That the fungal networks have moved beyond, or maybe never needed or been interested in a human body or a flesh and blood or being a mammal. And I know to a lot of people this sounds extreme, and half the people will totally agree, nod in agreement with me and say yes, mushrooms are conscious, and half the people will probably, or more than half the people will probably say you're I don't know what you're talking about. And a portion of the people are going to say you're just completely delusional believing this kind of stuff. But in the 70s, they thought people were delusional when they said that plants talk to each other through their roots. And for decades, scientists tried to get people to believe this and understand it. And now they finally do. We have scientific evidence that plants feed their young. We have scientific evidence that the mushrooms and the plants work together on a symbiotic relationship to feed each other. Everything in nature works this way. This is why I don't believe in just random mutation, evolution. I believe it's a blueprint or a voice, a word, something I can't understand. So everything is kind of voiced into existence through these vibratory rates, these energies, whatever you want to call them. And in the midst of that, we have so many different life forms. You know, we animals think much deeper than we thought. I mean, animals communicate, they love, they talk. You know, yes, when an animal talks, generally they're making a sound that others understand. We don't understand how they work, but it's you know, many of them are just guttural sounds, but they're understood because this is how they've evolved. We call ourselves superior because we have language, but the fact is, many of these don't need, birds don't need to talk to turn in unison. Fish don't need to talk to school together. So it's obvious that they're a little superior in that sense because we can't seem to make it through with what we have. Our language barrier is so just, you know, dramatic, especially with all the different languages. But the mushrooms being maybe a neural network, because the mycelial mats, they represent a neural network of neurons, and in fact they said that the areas where these networks connect, they represent, what are they called? It's those areas where it's the areas where the neurons fire. I can't remember what they're called right now, but anyway, they are kind of a dendritic type pattern. You know, they break up into smaller and smaller segments, eventually into very, very fine thread-like filaments, which are just everywhere. In fact, I think the largest organism on Earth, if I'm not mistaken, is in Eastern Oregon, not too far down south from me, and it's some like 600-acre, something like that, like mycelial mat where mushrooms grow. And they found that mushrooms on one side can communicate to the other side if there's a fire, not only informing the plants but informing the trees. This is a long way of saying the consciousness of the forest. The consciousness of the forest exists. It's alive. It's a system, just like the earth. Anything that regulates itself is a system. So, to me that says that the mushrooms are the mind of the network. So what happens when you eat psilocybin or take a psychedelic mushroom, let's say? You know, what do these mushrooms do? And it's not just psychedelics. All these different types of amazing, you know, medicinal uses of mushrooms. I mean, the Japanese have known about it a long time. I mean, they've been using masatakis and shiitakes forever. So we're learning, but I think that the plants are conscious. I think that when we consume plants, we're consuming part of that awareness, part of that consciousness. And certain compounds allow us to see the world a little bit differently. And it's funny to me that psilocybin is almost identical in chemical makeup to serotonin. And this is why it does what it does. And one question that comes to mind is, why does it look like serotonin? Because serotonin is kind of our mind regulator. It keeps us in our current state of being, of mind. Is psilocybin the mind regulator for the mycelial network? is it the consciousness? Is that the consciousness of the plant? Is that what keeps it sane? I don't know. I don't know. Plants are good. Plants are cool. And my little twin babies are going to get big and strong. I like plants. Peace.